Welcome back to another episode of Discogs Decides. This is where I go through my record collection using Discogs because you can shuffle. You can do this too at home if you like to. Of course, you won't have the same results as me because you'll be using your record collection. You can go into your Discogs app and you can go into the Collections tab, and then all you need to do is shake the app and we get a new record. And here we go. Booker T and the MGs, Green Onions from Stax. I just got this one, so let's talk about this. I'm very excited about this one. This is Booker T and the MGs, Green Onions. Booker T and the MGs were basically the house band for Stax Records. If you're not familiar or if you don't know anything about soul music, definitely go look up Stax Records. Back in the 60s, Stax Records was a label out of Memphis, Tennessee, or maybe Nashville, Tennessee. I'm pretty sure they were in Memphis, Tennessee. They're out of Tennessee, and they had a stable of musicians that they would bring in for pretty much every one of their records, and Booker T and the MGs was that group of guys. So this is the 60th anniversary deluxe edition, 180 gram green vinyl, original album remastered. Now it doesn't say it's remastered from the original master tapes. It's not AAA lacquer. I'm pretty sure it's not. The booklet features liner notes by music historian David Ritz, photos, and Stax Records Infirmaria, whatever that means. It's a very nice album cover, which is very cool, and I can say that the record sounds good, which is the most important part. The original lineup of this group is Booker T. Jones, Donald Duck Dunn, Steve Cropper, and Al Jackson Jr. And these guys are like some of the most legendary soul instrumentalists of all time. Steve Cropper is known for that 2 and 4 chick sound with his famous Fender Telecaster sound. And just everything about these guys is very, very, very iconic. There are so many groups that have tried to emulate what they do. Daptone Records kind of basically bases everything that they have off of Booker T and the MGs, including the looks of all of the backs of their records and using the same type of tip-on jackets and everything like that. I'm a huge fan of Booker T, and I just got all of the audiophile versions from Jackpot, which we'll talk about in another video, but this I had to get because this is their, I believe this is the first album. This came out originally in 1962. This is the 60th anniversary, and the song Green Onions, I mean, you've definitely heard it before. If you've ever seen the movie Sandlot, it's like the main theme song of the movie Sandlot. This pressing is a good pressing too. I mean, it sounds good on my system. I mean, it's not all analog, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, this is good sounding music. So if you're interested in Booker T and the MGs, this is a good version to go check out. Let's do the next item that Discogs is going to decide today. Another 45, Los Yesterdays. This is a good one. The next one that Discogs decided on here is a very big favorite of mine. This is Los Yesterdays from Penrose Records. Los Yesterdays is a group comprised of Tommy TNT Brennick, who's the guitarist and founder of the Budos Band, as well as Gabriel Roth on bass, who is the founder of Daptone Records and Penrose Records. It also has some other very legendary soul singers from the Riverside, California area. This stuff is kind of soldies type stuff. Like they're going for this like SoCal, very slow, awesome, deep soul type of stuff. The first record that they released was Nobody's Clown. This one came out in 2020. And this is interesting because Penrose actually released a first set of these with a pink label. Those ones are super hard to find and very, very expensive. They also released another set of these with a different teardrop label, where this teardrop is closer to the number on this one versus on the other ones, the teardrop is much further away, or I guess the teardrop is closer to the Penrose logo. These are all little variations that they'll make to kind of delineate between the different pressings that they do of these. And it's very cool, makes them very collectible, makes it extremely insane for someone like me because I want all of them, and hopefully one day I'll be able to get them, but I definitely don't have the pink ones. This is the second pressing of this, so I don't know how I missed out on Penrose Records when it first came out, especially in 2020 during the pandemic. Gee, I wonder why I wasn't privy to like new record labels coming out during the pandemic. Oh. If you get a chance, definitely check out Los Yesterdays from Penrose Records. They are pretty awesome. We did a good one today. Booker T and the MGs and Los Yesterdays. That's pretty awesome. So let's do one more. Always got to do 3. Pink Floyd, A Collection of Great Dance Songs, 1981 pressing. This is a pretty awesome compilation that came out in 1981 from Pink Floyd, a collection of great dance songs. I love these covers, man. All of the Pink Floyd covers are always just phenomenal. Great photography and just concepts. Like, I mean, look at this cover. It's pretty awesome. This is a compilation of songs from Metal, Dark Side of the Moon, Animals, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall. And it's pretty awesome. I mean, that's like a great collection of songs there. So if you're ever out at the record shop and you find this out there, you should definitely check it out if you don't have all those albums already, especially. And it's great because it's a good way to get into Pink Floyd without having to buy those albums, but you get a pretty broad selection. I mean, the fact that you get some stuff from Animals and you get some stuff from Metal is really cool too. Metal is one of my favorite Pink Floyd albums, and Animals is as well. So Wish You Were Here is great as well, and Money is on here, which is always a classic. Oh wow, it's Scratched to Hell. Well, my copy is Scratched to Hell, so yeah. Oh my God. What did somebody do to this? Look what somebody did to this thing. Like, what? I've got a lot of records in my collection here that I haven't listened to a lot over the years, and this is one of them, and a lot because I'm not into greatest hits records. In fact, I hate greatest hits records. And so I usually try to go out and get the actual albums, especially from Pink Floyd. They're one of my favorite bands. So I don't ever listen to this. And there are a lot of albums that I'm finding when I do this Discogs Decides that are in my collection here that it's kind of good that I'm able to weed out, especially this one. This thing is Scratched to Hell. I must have gotten this from either my brother or from someone else. My brother's a huge Pink Floyd fan. He's why I got into Pink Floyd. But I don't know why this is so scratched so badly, but this is coming out of my collection now, and it's good that I found this. So sometimes you got to use Discogs to decide on things that are crappy in your collection, and this is a good one to get weeded out of there. So maybe I'll just keep this album cover because it's a fantastic cover, and you know, get rid of the actual record. The record, it looks like somebody like just took a knife to it or something. I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah, don't destroy vinyl. It's a horrible thing to do. All right, so since Discogs decided on a scratched record that I'm going to pull out of my collection here, let's go back in and see one more that Discogs can decide for today. Bam! Herbie Hancock Thrust. What a better way to rectify the situation. So Discogs decided on one of my favorite records, and pretty much all these records are my favorite records because they're all in my collection. One of the most influential records in my collection to me as a musician and to me as a music lover. I'm a huge fan of Herbie Hancock. This is Herbie Hancock Thrust. Now this came out in 1974. This is the second album from the Headhunters with Herbie Hancock's Headhunters group that he put together. I'm pretty sure the Headhunters were already a group before Herbie kind of brought them in, and I'm pretty sure that he used Harvey Mason on the first Headhunters album, who was not the original drummer in the Headhunters. Mike Clark is the original drummer in the Headhunters, and I know that Mike Clark was brought in by Paul Jackson for this record specifically. And Mike Clark is one of my favorite drummers of all time. He's just so funky and so technical, but awesome. He sits in the pocket so well. So the lineup on this record is Paul Jackson on bass, Herbie Hancock on piano, Betty Maupin on sax, Mike Clark on drums, and Bill Summers on percussion, and it is just fantastic. And here they are on the back cover looking like a bunch of badasses. And again, Mike Clark, one of the sickest drummers out there. He continued on with the group on Man-Child as well, and they add Wah Wah Watson, the guitar player, on that record. So I feel like that record is kind of like the pinnacle of the Headhunters group, but this one is going up that mountain. One of the greatest tracks on here is Actual Proof, and I was actually told that the name of that song comes from the fact that Herbie Hancock wanted the world to know that this was actual proof that this is the greatest funk band of all time. And that song is so sick. If you ever listen to it, this is like Oakland funk. So it's West Coast Oakland funk, and their whole thing is like very similar with Tower of Power. The whole thing was all about losing the one, right? Like it was all about not just taking everything on beat 2 and 4, but actually moving the one, and like, so you don't really know where the downbeat is on a lot of these songs. And so it's very, very cool. Another really awesome track on here is Butterfly with the congas. Bill Summers' congas on this are just sick. He's got this awesome effect that that percussionists can use on the conga by sliding their finger across the drum, and it's just so sick on this record. It's one of the best uses of it, and I know that this record has been sampled a lot as well by a lot of other different hip-hop artists out there, so it's one of the most influential records of all time. It's also 50 years old this year, so hopefully we could get like an audiophile version of it, which would be great. This pressing I have is an original pressing from 1974, and I actually picked it up just this summer for like $4 at a flea market, which was so awesome. I was going through a bunch of like dirt records, and this was sitting in there, this beautiful gem, and the record itself sounds great. The cover's a little faded here, but it still sounds amazing. And so it sounds better than, I have a repress from 2007 of this. The repress is okay, but it doesn't sound as good as this one. I'm pretty sure the repress is digital, I'm sure it is. But if they do an audiophile version of this, that would be amazing. I would definitely love to see a UHQR version of Herbie Hancock, Headhunters, or Thrust, or something else out there. Analog Productions already did a 45 version of Headhunters, which I have, but it would be great to do a UHQR of Thrust or something like that. That would be sick, Chad. Go check that out. All right, so Discogs decided on some really awesome records today, and especially on some that I have to weed out of my collection, apparently. So you got to do that from time to time. And when you pick up a lot of used records along the way, you'll probably find some like that are scratched and stuff. And so I definitely encourage you, listen to your records, go through your collection, use Discogs to organize your collection, and then randomly shuffle through your collection so you can find new records like these and get them out of there if you don't need them. If you like this video, you're probably going to like some others on this channel, like these ones here, and I'm going to go listen to that Herbie Hancock Thrust. I will see you guys on the next one.